We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
We love the same music, believe it or not. Beautiful love songs, we love classic melodies.
It seemed to me that I was hearing the voice of God.
In terms of lyrical craftsmanship, sheer songwriting, this album hits a new peak of professionalism.
These stories are beautiful.
You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view.
Let me tell you what like a virgin said.
Fuck you, man. If you don't like my fucking music, get your own fucking cab.
Entire song. It's a metaphor for big dicks.
No, it ain't. Did you know that Whitney Houston's debut LP had 4 #1 singles on it?
Do you know that you're insane?
You can have 100 people in the room that are watching you and 99 don't believe in you and 1 does.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
You know, the message is only there for the people who are meant to find it.
Go like adventures, you gotta meet people, and all this. It's sort of like an adventure, big adventure. It's fun.
Hello, Mathew V. How are we doing today?
Hi, Andy O. See, I'm doing great because this is perfect because you've, I don't know if I followed you or you've followed me, but one of us has followed each other. It's like we both showed up to a party in the same dress. But we have the wonderful first name and then the last name initial. How perfect is that?
Oh, yeah. Andy O. and Mathew V. Wait, what?
It sounds like a pretty good duet.
Yeah. I can't sing that well. I'm trying to practice. I'd love to do like singing lessons, like actually learn how to sing. Because I don't sound terrible, but I don't sound amazing.
I feel like someone who listens to as much music as you do, like you could pull it off. Trust me, the Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande club could never. Have you heard of Andy O and Mathew V? I have.
What does Mathew V stand for? What does the V stand for?
It's for my painfully long 2-word Dutch last name, which is like a lowercase v in the first one and an uppercase V in the second name, and then there's like a silent G and a silent H. It's just a big mess. So Mathew V was a lot easier, and people keep messing up spelling Matthew anyway. So
it was the same with me because like mine is Oliva.
Yeah,
because I'm Italian, and people would be like Olive, like Oliver. Like my science teacher in middle school called me Mr. Oliver all year long. So I was just like, O is like, let's just leave it at O. It's simpler for you.
But there's no A, or there is an A, but there's no ER. Am I wrong?
Tell him that. I don't know. People are weird. People are weird. And then
give me his number. I'll give him a call and I'll take care of it real fast.
Well, that's also why I started going Andy too, because so my full name is Andrea.
Yeah.
I'm Italian, but like people, there's always this thing like they think it's like a girl's name in America, and it's in Italy it's a guy's name. And so,
or they think it's like Andrea or whatever.
Yeah, they
Andrea.
mispronounce it. They call me Andres, blah, blah, blah. Like all the time, like I get like mail in the mail. I get Miss Andrea Oliva in the mail.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, no, just call me Andy. We'll be simple.
Yeah.
But, okay, enough talking about me because like, I'm really, really excited to have you on. Like, honestly, like this is a really big deal. I remember when one of my friends, like months and months ago, I think it was Dom. He showed me one of your songs. I think it was "Always Be My Baby," and I was like, "Oh, this is a really cool song. Like, this is a good. Like, I love this cover of Mariah's song."
Yeah.
And I would have never thought, like months down the road, that I'd be sitting here like talking with you about this song, like ever in a million years. So,
oh, sweet.
This is
well.
Really
Thank you so
cool.
much for having me. This is exciting for me. My partner's going to be thrilled that I'm on a podcast because he listens to podcasts all the time and he feels like I'm, trapped in 2004, not really listening to podcasts. I'm a very avid music listener. I've never read books. Like if I'm out on a walk, if I'm doing anything, there has to be music involved. Unless if I'm driving, I won't listen to music because I'm so focused on the music that I won't focus on driving.
Right.
But I'm such an avid music listener. So I've been told often and often that I need to get into podcasts because Lord knows I'm not going to read. But if someone can speak to me,
it's weird because now we've got this cool thing where like somebody's like in your ear. You can be like running or like driving or like whatever, and they can be just talking about whatever you want. I just think it's super cool.
I think there needs to be a personal training podcast where I have some like really aggressive sounding voice in my ears screaming like "Run, bitch," because that would probably help me a bit. I don't want to let anyone down, but yeah. Regardless, thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Welcome. Thanks
I'm really
for
excited.
You just released your first single, "Missing Me," right?
Yeah,
well not your first single,
no,
but your latest single.
But this is yes. So this is we just put out "Missing Me" last month. It's with a really amazing Canadian artist named Jocelyn Alice, who I had kind of listened to for the last 10 years because she's so successful in Canada and especially on Canadian radio. I went into this situation into this duet with one top 20 at Canadian radio, and I think Jocelyn has probably had 5 or 6 top 10s. So she's pretty established up here, and it was just a really cool opportunity for me to, have someone of her caliber kind of believe in me and be willing to kind of co-sign this song. And it's been a really cool experience. It's also one of the first songs that I haven't, had a huge hand in writing from start to finish. I was in Los Angeles on a writing trip, and Jocelyn and I had wanted to get together and write a song. I brought a producer from Vancouver down with me, and then there were just so many schedule conflicts, and it didn't come together on that trip. But Jocelyn sent me a demo of Missing Me and said, I really think that this would work for you. She had written it in Nashville, I think a few weeks before that. She said, I really think this would work for you, or as a duet, so just give it a listen. And I'm typically skeptical when someone sends me a song because I want to have a heavy hand in writing it.
Right. Where does that come from? Because I know everyone's different, so I'm just curious.
Absolutely. I think that there's a few different standpoints. For me, I kind of came into Mathew V probably like 5 years ago when I was in London, and I built the persona, and it was all around music that I had written. And so I think I'd kind of associated the artist of Mathew V with self-written music. And besides that, there's also a financial aspect to it where if you own your publishing, you want to make sure that you have as high of a percentage of the writing on the song so that when it gets radio spins or this, that, or the other thing, that you're, making money from it. But I listened to the song that Jocelyn had sent, and for the first part, I was expecting it not to be in my key because she's a female vocalist, and I was like, oh god, I'm going to have to transpose this 900 times. But the verses fit really well for me. The song was really strong, and Ryan, who was the producer in the hotel room with me at the time when we were listening to it, he's like, dude, you should really consider this because this is really good. So I called my manager, who's the head of the label that I'm on, and he had known Jocelyn for, I think, a handful of years because in Canada they had done panel discussions or something together. And I went back to Vancouver and started recording my vocals there, and we kind of sent things back and forth to LA or to Nashville or to Calgary, which is where Jocelyn is now. And it just all kind of put the pieces together. It was an interesting process to kind of do everything via email. I'd never met Jocelyn until the actual video shoot.
Oh, wow.
Was the first time that we had met in person. So it was a lot of like email back and forth pulling this together, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. And it was definitely a new experience for me, but I was really stoked on it.
That's awesome. Okay, that's really cool. All right, I'm gonna play the track real quick. We'll give it a listen, and then we'll talk more about it.
Laying awake again, mind is spiraling. Woke up wondering why you left. That night in October, still broken July. I thought of a heartache until that night. I miss your hands, miss your car, miss your street. I miss your couch, miss your mouth. Are you missing me? Miss your breath on my neck like a breeze. I even miss all our fights. Are you missing me? Are you missing me? Are you missing me? Oh.
Woke up pretending, but not for too long. Felt you next to me, forgot you're gone. miss your car, miss your street. I miss your couch, miss your mouth. Are you missing me? Miss your breath on my neck like a breeze. I even miss all our fights. Are you missing me? Are you missing me? Are you missing me? Cause I'm missing you in the middle of the street where it was just stopping me. I'm missing you like the middle of the meal that your mom used to cook for me. Hey, that is true that I still wish I knew. Are you missing me? I miss your hands, miss your car, miss your street. I miss your couch, miss your mom. Are you missing me?
I miss your breath on my neck like a breeze. I even miss all our fights. Are you missing me?
I miss your hands, miss your car, miss your street. I miss your couch, miss your mom. Are you missing me? Miss your breath on my neck like a breeze. I even miss all our fights. Are you missing me? Are you missing me? Are you missing me?
My God, I've heard that song so many times.
That must be really weird when you're an artist and you like hear your song millions of times, you get it made, whatever. Like I get sick of listening to the podcast when I'm like fixing it like later on. So
yeah. It's, I mean, like this song moved relatively fast. And I think from the moment I got the first demo, it was like, at least we were addressing it once a day for 6 months. And that was like a fast process for us. There's a song on the album that's coming out in the summer that was finished 2.5 years ago.
Oh, damn.
And then we had to go in and like redo the mix and change up a bit of the production to make sure that it was like kind of moving with the time. But we all agreed that it didn't have a place on the last album. And then going into this album, I was like, shoot, I really like that song. We should like bring this back.
Yeah.
Where
are the streams at right now on Missing Me? I think it's really awesome. Like I really love it. Like honestly. That's
Missing Me is approaching 500,000. I think this week we'll kind of pass that threshold.
Congratulations, both of you guys. Everyone that is involved.
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much. It's weird. There's like, it was funny because when I was just getting started with releasing music, I was surrounded by a bunch of people kind of mentoring me, and I was watching them, you know, get the top of New Music Friday USA or get this, get that. And I was like, oh, you know, when I release music, it's going to happen like that for me.
Right.
And I really had to like struggle and climb to get streams and to get people to listen. And before I signed my record deal, I put out my first EP. And I think we got about like
Sounds,
2 million.
Right?
Yeah.
In 2016?
Yes.
Yeah.
I put out Sounds, and then I think over a year we got about like 2 million streams on it, but it had never touched a Spotify playlist. Like nothing in-house had ever been added. I was like, oh, like when is this going to happen? And then we signed our record deal. And it's still like such a climb, and I'm lucky to have, you know, really nice Spotify support at this moment, but there's no number where I'm content. There's always like, I hit this goal and then I'm like, okay, well, what's next? Because I get to watch people like Jocelyn. I think Jocelyn probably has over 100 million streams on her catalog.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, well, I need that next. And then, you know, when you hit there, when is it going to stop? So I'm starting to try to disassociate myself from, I mean, trying to, not succeeding, but, you know, trying to take a little bit of time to like take away from the numbers. I think that like some of my favorite songs are certainly not my most streamed songs.
Right.
So I just need to like put out stuff that I'm proud of. And as long as it's keeping a roof over my head, that's all I can really do.
Yeah. I think it stops when your songs have gone on like karaoke software for like covers and they've been made into remixes on commercials. I think that's when you know that you've reached critical mass.
Exactly. So it's so funny that you said that because I was on a call with my manager today, and he said we have all the instrumentals, we should just release karaoke versions because
Okay.
quite often people DM me and they're like, "Hey, can you send me the instrumental because I
Uh-huh.
want to sing it at like a talent show or I want to, sing it at my birthday or whatever."
Right.
And so I'm like, let's just put it out there. And if anything, like even some of the ballads, people can, use it as a meditation background music.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you get to? I also like the remix of "Missing Me." So if you're listening, you need to go listen to that because that's really good too.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of like a '80s synth. You got those drums in there that I kind of like a lot. Like I'm super into like '80s vibe anything. So it's got a little bit of influence there, which I really like. But so how did you get to? Tell me why "Always Be My Baby." Like how did you get to cover that song?
It's so interesting. I knew that I wanted to do a cover on the record because I wanted, with my first album, to give like an olive branch to people that had no clue who I was, which was most people, to give them something familiar, which was a hit song and a melody that people knew. So as soon as the first, yeah, you know what I mean? So as soon as that came in, they were gripped, but they were also intrigued as to, okay, let's watch this crash and burn, or let's see if I enjoy this in a bit of a new way. And I knew that I didn't want to do a American Idol version of it, meaning just like going out and singing like I was doing karaoke at a bar.
Right.
I wanted to make it feel like an entirely new song.
Right.
And I wanted to take lyrics, like kind of take a bop that a lot of people knew, and then interpret the lyrics in like a much more emotional way.
Mm-hmm.
So Always Be My Baby wasn't the first one that I was going to do. It didn't come to mind. I was going to do Midnight Train to Georgia, I think by Gladys Knight.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought that enough people didn't know that.
Well,
and
one thing that I really love that you do, and you did this with Always Be My Baby, you did this with Lucky as well.
Yeah.
And you also did this with Hit Me Baby One More Time, which I kind of want to play later if we can get to it.
Yeah, you did a deep dive.
But you have this way of taking like these really like actually lyrically deep songs, like emotional songs that are like sort of underneath this happy pop layer.
Yeah.
And imbuing some of that like emotion back into them.
Yeah.
And that's what I really love about this and Always Be My Baby and Lucky too. So I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
About you.
So. I appreciate that. That's exactly what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
When I came across Always Be My Baby, it just kind of hit. I was going through all of the pop divas catalogs, and I was about to do Believe by Cher or Strong Enough by Cher, but I knew that Ella Henderson on the X Factor did Believe by Cher stripped down.
I love Believe by Cher.
And that's how we had kind of had it back and forth on Instagram about that.
Because I do have this stupid joke where I always ask my friends just randomly because I'm trying to be awkward and stupid. I'm like, hey, real quick, can you tell me something? And I'll be like, do you believe in life after love? And just like to be awkward and stupid. So yeah. But anyway,
oh my god,
I'm a dork. So
it's perfect. I think that I have a bit of bitterness with like I'm 22. And I was in the studio with a young artist that's being developed, and I was writing for her project. And I was having a freak out because I'm like, the Pussycat Dolls are coming back. The Pussycat Dolls are coming back. Oh my God, I'm so excited. The Pussycat Dolls are coming back.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to go to Vegas and see them in concert whenever it happens, blah, 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 blah. And she is in grade 12. And she looked at me and she was like, who? I was like, the Pussycat Dolls. And she was like, I don't know what that is.
Uh-huh.
And I felt this fire inside. And I turned into an old man on my front porch being like, this generation isn't going to know all of the good music. They're not going to appreciate Celine Dion and Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, like the Holy Trinity. What's their Holy Trinity? Billie Eilish? I can't get around this. So I'm just like trying to I'm like, is ABBA going to disappear? I can't let that happen. So yeah, long and the short, to wrap it back around, I wanted to, take songs that were lyrically, deep and kind of portray them in a totally different way.
Yeah.
And I think that I want to like kind of keep doing that. It's been fun to explore and kind of find songs where I can do that. And I think
what are some you're thinking of doing next? Like what are on your mind?
I really want to do Strong Enough by Cher.
Okay.
That
would be good. That'd be good.
Because it's like full on disco.
Yeah.
And I think if you like were to strip that back and just throw big gang harmonies on it, it would be really nice. I wanted to do what else was I going to do? I had a thought about doing The Way I Am by Ingrid Michaelson, but I think that it's already kind of what it needs to be. It's already kind of stripped back. It's not like a big bop. So there's a few that I'm throwing around. To be honest, when I find the perfect one, I do it. So I don't think that I've found that, like the aha moment that I had with Always My Baby and Lucky has not resurfaced yet.
Right.
Funny you said that, because I'm already thinking about the next EP for Beyond This Album. I'm starting recording it in July.
Okay.
And I was about to do My Heart Will Go On, but like a totally different version of it. And I had it all arranged. I had the guitar part done. And then I ended up repurposing it for an original song. Because I just thought that it was better. And I was like, oh, maybe I should take a little break from the covers. Who knows? It might still happen. So you heard it here first if it does.
Yeah.
But also part of me feels like blasphemous to take on Celine Dion, which in my opinion is the best singer of all time.
Well, okay, so this is the thing when you're covering any of the Holy Trinity, like Whitney or Celine or like Mariah or whatever, you can't attempt to do what they do. Like I don't know if you saw Shoshana's cover of Whitney in her car. She posted on her Instagram story.
Shoshana Bean? Yeah.
Yeah, so she did I Have Nothing, right? So if she were to go on a stage and like try and perform that in front of an audience, she would be kind of like competing with Whitney in a way. Like it would be like, so it's like hard to top that. Whereas if she's just there singing it in her car, it's like, there's something about it that's kind of cool, you know? I don't know.
Exactly. I completely appreciate what you just said, because I knew when I picked the Mariah Carey song, I was like, if I'm going to take on Mariah Carey, it's not going to be in her field. I'm not going to walk into the battle ring trying to do Mariah. Like, how egotistical of me to assume that I could do a song from one of the 3 best singers of all time. Like, if I'm going to try it, it needs to be a new song with the same melody and lyrics. Because if I heard my version, or if I heard myself sing Mariah Carey in the original style, I'd be like, that's really optimistic that you thought that you could try that, but please stop. It's just like, the best already exists, so why would I try to do 50% of that?
Don't even compete. Have you seen, one of my favorites is the, If You Believe, I think it is, by Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey as a duet together.
From The Prince of Egypt.
Yes.
And I will play it in the car, and I will turn my head for both parts, because when they get into the runs at the end, and Whitney does like her really short, like aggressive, angry ones, it's very like back and forth. And if I ever did drag, I would do that song so I could give the full fast back and forth of all of their runs back and forth, because it's really magical.
Can you imagine being Mariah Carey at that point in your career, and you're like, here you are, you've reached like the pinnacle, you're on a stage, with Whitney Houston doing a duet?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of that duet is its own magical entity, because it takes 2 of the Holy Trinity and puts them beside each other, because we can all hypothesize who is the best of Celine, Mariah, and Whitney, and on a different day of the week you'll have a different argument for any of them. But there was the VH1 Divas Live where Mariah and Celine were there together, and then there was When You Believe where Whitney and Mariah were together, and you get to hear them back and forth, and there's moments of both of their voices in that song where I'm like, oh no, maybe it's Mariah. And then I'm like, oh no, maybe Whitney's the best. But what I will say is the VH1 Divas Live, they were all singing You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman by Aretha Franklin. And Aretha Franklin's there in the middle. And Celine walks up and like sings circles around Aretha Franklin and is like doing runs up and over. And you see Mariah Carey in the back like, real upset, because she's like, I feel like I could do that too, but I chose not to disrespect Aretha Franklin, and Celine's there stealing the spotlight. And I think Mariah gave some sort of a pointed interview after that, being like, you don't do that to Aretha Franklin. It was one of the wildest moments,
kind of classy in the way that she is.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that people listening to this, and I feel like they will, I feel like people who either know you or I are going to appreciate the Holy Trinity. But it truly is. I don't think there's going to be a generation that's going to have voices like those 3 women in their prime.
It doesn't come along very often, especially now. Like the way you produce music, like you really don't have to have an amazing voice to stand out.
Absolutely not. And like the great songs exist beyond amazing voices. I think that
Right.
Into You by Ariana Grande is one of the best pop songs of all time because of the production. But her voice isn't outstanding on that recording. She has an outstanding recording voice, but it's not like a hugely vocal, agile song.
Right. She can do it. She can be vocally
she can.
agile.
That's the thing. But that song didn't require it. It might have almost like cut it down if there was more of that.
Well, even like Seven Rings, which was like one of her biggest hits, right?
It's very like spoken and like anti-sung,
right?
Which for me kind of gets me because if I know you can, just like give it to me. You know what I mean? It's like give me some sort of a high note in there.
Right.
But who do you think is the holy trinity of this new generation vocally?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I don't think I've actually thought about it.
I have my opinions.
I think Billie Eilish has to be in there because there's just something she does with her voice.
Her vocal trinity, Andy.
I don't know. I think that thought about this.
Billie Eilish has a cool tone. And when I heard Ocean Eyes for the first time when she was 15, it blew my mind. I sent it to everyone. I was like, oh my God, listen to the tone of this young girl. But in my opinion, the perfect aspects of a voice are skill and agility, meaning like, can you do all the big runs? Can you do, I don't think Billie Eilish can do that. Power, which Billie Eilish certainly doesn't have because everything is
Adele.
whispered.
Can we say Adele is in there?
I will allow Adele to be considered for the Trinity, but again, I don't think that the agility is there. She has tone and power for days, but I don't think that the agility is there. If Adele had to do all of the runs that Celine and Mariah and Whitney were doing, I don't think that it would happen. So I think if we're talking about all three, I think that Tori Kelly and Jessie J
I was going to say
are there to be discussed. I think, I mean, it's tough because Jennifer Hudson could be there, but I don't think that Jennifer Hudson is necessarily an artist. I think that she's a singer. You know what I mean? I think Lady Gaga has power and tone. I don't think necessarily that the agility is there, but the tone is through the roof. So it's tough. I think that Tori Kelly and Jessie J can kind of like be the first two to be considered, but I don't think that they'll stand up to the last generation either. So it's, I feel very passionately about it.
No, I mean, I know, it's great. I mean, but these people, they don't come along very often. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So that's what makes them kind of special.
We were so blessed to have ultimately like the three greatest singers. And not only the greatest singers of all time, but they had hits. They had songs that like, and huge discographies that like really let them soar in their singing capability. It wasn't like they were this amazing background singer that didn't have their own artistic, stamp or voice or sound. All three of these women had such amazing discographies that were so personal to their taste.
Did you hear what happened with Adele recently? How she like cut her hair?
No, she didn't, sweetie. No.
Well, that was a rumor that she did a quarantine cut for her new album, right?
It was trending on Twitter. And maybe she did cut it, but the photo that leaked is the worst Photoshopped photo of all time. They found the original. It was like from like a Vogue cover shoot or whatever. You can see her real hair like kind of blended through it. So go look on Twitter, look up Adele haircut, and you'll see the original photo in the Photoshop. The Photoshop is wild. Because when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, why does her hair not match the photo? And then I saw that it was a Photoshop. Maybe she cut her hair and someone just made a joke and edited that photo. Right. But if she did cut her hair, the public has yet to see it.
Well, so she also posted on her Instagram saying like almost 30 and she was all like old and shit, like in a wig with makeup.
Yeah.
So I'm excited because I think that she's teasing for her new album. It's going to be 30.
I'm really excited for her new record. I'm hoping that like when 25 by Adele came out, I was so thrilled because it was exactly what I wanted from it. It was 21 and 19, but like it evolved and changed enough for me to know what Adele was. I'm hoping that this album isn't Seven Rings for her. I hope that it's not like modern, like really modern production and like trap beats and her not living up to her full vocal potential, unless that's what she wants to do and then live your artistic life. But for me as a listener, what I want from this new album is kind of more of the same. I think Adele's the only artist that has the freedom to make the same kind of album over and over again because she does it so well.
You don't want her to take the Sam Smith route where he's like going more like poppy a little bit and less ballady. right?
I think that Sam is making a good decision because I don't think that he's an artist that can make the same album over and over again. I think that he tried with the second album, and I don't think that it was In the Lonely Hour 2.0. I think that it just kind of wasn't that, and now he's reinventing himself, and I think that it's going really well for him.
I love the new. I love all the new tracks,
for them,
like all of the new singles lately that he's been doing. It's a bummer that he delayed the album, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm interested for Adele's because it's going to be a breakup album because she got divorced from Simon. What's his name? Konecki, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, she literally defines the breakup album genre. Like I feel like
I think that Adele has a lot of. She's a really interesting artist because when Adele releases music, the world kind of stops.
Yeah.
And Adele does it on her own timeline. So I think that it's going to be interesting. She has the ball in her court if she wants to reinvent herself and really kind of change the way that music is going. But for me, selfishly, I just want like the new 25. I'm like, give me more of the same, because I think she's the only artist that can release the same type of album over and over again and have it make the same impact because the quality of the writing is so good.
Yeah.
I think Amy Winehouse would have been able to do the same thing.
Right.
I think Amy Winehouse would have been able to release Back to Black over and over and over again with different songs, and it would make the same impact.
Who would you have liked to see Amy Winehouse do a duet with?
If Amy were still around, she would have done a duet with John Legend, because I just know that would have happened. It wouldn't be who I would have chose for Amy Winehouse to do a duet with. Who would I have liked to see Amy Winehouse? I would have seen her
do it with Lizzo. Maybe that would be kind of weird or
cool. I can get on board with that. I think that would happen. I feel like she would do a duet with like James Blake or something. Like I feel like that's who Amy Winehouse would choose for. And I'm just really hypothesizing now, but who would I want? Why do I feel like Amy Winehouse and Macklemore would do a duet? Like, I feel like that could happen.
That could happen.
Or no, I mean, it couldn't happen right now, but I feel like that could have been on Earth 2.0, where Hillary Clinton's president right now, and Amy Winehouse is doing a duet with Macklemore, you know?
Yeah.
Earth 2.0 sounds great.
I love that song. What was it? I forget the name of the song. He's talking about like coming out, like, I can't change even if I... That song, right? You know that song?
Same Love came out when I was in grade 10, and it made my high school experience so much easier, because I saw like Macklemore was huge at that point, and I saw all of the guys in school want to, like, they're like, oh, like it's cool and it's dope to be accepting, like I should have a gay friend, like that's cool now. I don't want to be uncool.
Right.
So it's like I saw this weird polarizing shift of how people were acting, and it, like, that song for me made a huge impact. I saw it made a huge impact on my school.
Yeah. That's
so
amazing.
it was really powerful.
I used to just listen to it to cope, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just give me like courage, like whatever, just listening through my day.
I think that there was so much power for me. Like, for me when I was younger, watching Lady Gaga speak for the gay community, and then because it was me watching, you know, what I deemed to be, when I was a child, you know, a straight woman, and I don't know what Lady Gaga's sexuality is, but how I deemed it at the time was someone.
Remember that thing where people were like, do you have a penis or whatever? Like, remember?
Oh,
and
God,
she just was like a fucking baller the way she answered. Like, there's that interview with Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
She handled that amazingly. So
she always handled herself amazing. And there was so much power for me to watch someone who I deemed to be outside of my experience standing up for me. Right. So when it was a straight guy who is typically kind of like the enemy of who I was growing up, it was kind of always the people that picked on me were straight men.
Right.
To have someone in that community standing up and speaking up for me was so powerful. Because it's one thing to understand the experience, and it's one thing to not have walked the experience but still be able to empathize with it.
Right. 100%. I agree. So
music
is powerful.
Who are some new artists that you've been listening to that you are just like, and I can imagine you have a long list, but like what have you been playing this week that's like at the top of your list and you recently played?
Okay, so I did my playlist, Andy's mixtape, that I put you on there.
Yes, thank you for doing that.
You have the most albums out of everyone on there, but I felt like I had to put Missing Me on there because it just fit and I wanted it to be. So And it's my playlist, so I can do whatever I want, honestly. So whatever. But
well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I have been listening to this playlist a lot. Are you into like Lanny or 1975? Or
Okay, so
like that?
Typically I listen to a genre of music called women only, but this year I've broadened my horizons and
is it just women? Is that what like is it a
no,
dumb
yeah.
question? Like is it like what?
No, so like typically like I always connected to female voices because I thought that they were more powerful. But in the last year I've like really broadened my horizons and like I've been listening to Lanny, I don't know how to pronounce the name, 1975, because a lot of the video directors and photographers that I work with listen to them all the time, and I remember being played Through These Tears by Laney or Lanny, and I was like, oh my god, this is so good, and like the melody just like hit me in the gut.
Did you hear he does like a piano cover? It's like a black and white piano cover of Through These Tears. It's like an acoustic version.
I have not heard that.
Oh, you've got to hear it because like honestly, like it made me like I've cried to that song. Like honestly, like so
he was Dula Peep's ex, right?
I don't know. Was he? I don't know.
I think wasn't that song about.
It
I
might
called
be
Dua Lipa Dula Peep now because of the Wendy Williams because of the Wendy Williams video.
I don't know. Hang on, I'll look it up really quick. But so I've been listening to the most of my playlists I've been listening to. And so, like, for instance, I'm really excited about this band called Pink Roses. They literally, I think they have like 3 tracks out. They just released one of their songs. It's called DTLA, and it's very like Lanny vibes, very kind of like 80s vibes. There's another artist. There's another band called Midnight Kids, which is also like in the same genre. It's very like 80s throwback, whatever. Also, you and I follow Malia Civets. I'm really excited to see what Malia Civets does because I love the Broke Boy music video.
Yes.
I love the song, and I even love Heartbroke, the newest single that she just came out.
I don't even know how I know Malia Civets, but we've been, I think, Facebook friends for probably like 10 years, I had to guess, because I was part of me wanted to go to USC Thornton, which was a music school, and I may have found her through that circle, but regardless, I remember hearing one of her demos on SoundCloud way back in the day, and I reached out to her being like, you are an amazing singer, oh my gosh. And then I think we had casual conversation maybe back in the day, and then I've just kind of like known of her for the 10 years following, and I've been watching everything that she's doing, and my God, she's such a singer. That's someone that excites me because when I'm a 2000s pop kind of girl. So if you give me a big vocalist singing pop music, I'm through the roof. And she's such a singer. So I'm really, really excited about her project.
Well, I'm really excited to see what she does. I love what she's done so far. And I love artists that can kind of use their music to say things that are happening in culture or the things that people are feeling in culture that you can't really do other than in music as the medium. Like you can't, like if you talk about it, it's hard and it's awkward, like but like you listen to it and it's like, oh yes, like that's how people are feeling, like that's what everybody's going through, like, so I love that. But okay, so Lanny and so Paul Klein and Dua Lipa dated for 5 months at the end of 2017, and then they ended
Dua Peep, knew it.
I also love that album. Have you listened
Future Nostalgia? Absolutely. So I've started getting a vinyl collection.
Oh, that's
and my partner and I are very specific about, if we add an album, it needs to be an album that has marked a moment of our life. And that was the first one we've had a conversation about, like the album in the last year. I think the most recent one we have is Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves. Because they have to be start to finish albums, and they have to be albums that we've played on repeat that kind of like mark a moment in either of our lives. And it's the first one that we're considering now. I think I need to give it a bit more time and see how its longevity lasts in my life. But it's the first one that we're considering because it really is a start to finish album, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I want you to kind of go into, I want to find out, like, so you did Sounds, which is the first EP, and then you did The Fifth in 2018, which was your first album.
Yes.
And so, like, what was the process? What were you thinking? What were you trying to do with The Fifth? And then what are you going to do with your new album that's going to come out?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for asking. So I did Sounds kind of on my own, which was my first EP, which I kind of pictured it as like my Shark Tank pitch project where I can walk into the room and go like, hey Sharks, this is this is my demo here. Like this is what I've done on my own. This is kind of the vibe. This is the cow you're buying.
Right.
Do you like the milk? Would you like me to keep making milk for you?
Would you like to purchase my cow?
Exactly. Except for I was the cow,
right,
and the EP was my milk, and I was like, you want more of this? Or do you want to turn it into cheese? You know, like this is what I'm selling here. And it's a really awful metaphor. I don't know why I keep using it. I've used that metaphor for so long. But anyway, so I used that to shop to labels. And I had a few conversations, but no one was really biting. And then I played a show in Vancouver in like a basement for no one there. And this gentleman walked up to me after the show and he said, I think you have an amazing voice. You should come by 604 Records because...
Was that discouraging? Like being there, like nobody was there? Or you just like power through it? Or
I kind of knew that no one was going to be there. I've always been very realistic as like, I'm not Celine Dion, so why would I expect her audience to turn up? You know what I mean? Like I didn't really have a lot of traction at the time. I had 2 million streams, most of which were overseas. So I'm like, who would I expect to come see this show?
Right.
So I wasn't really too upset about it.
Right.
But this gentleman came up to me after the show, one of the 5 people that was there, and said, hey, I think your voice is great. I just started working with 604 Records, who's one of the labels that I reached out to and never answered. And he's like, you should just come and meet Jonathan, the head of the label, and just have a conversation. So I went and I chatted with him, and he said, oh, you sound familiar. Why do you sound familiar? I said, oh, well, I emailed the label probably like 6 months ago. And he said, oh, yeah, I did listen to your stuff. Let's kind of test the waters here and see how our relationship grows.
Mm-hmm.
And so we decided to do 5 months of kind of like trial management where they would prove themselves to me and I would prove myself to them. And one of the tasks that I have was to bring in 5 demos. And if he liked one of the songs, then we would enter into a record deal and we would move forward with that song being on the album.
Right.
So I used the label's resources and I did a bunch of co-writing and a bunch of demos. And I wrote Tell Me Smooth, and I did the demo version of Always Be My Baby, Broken, Let Me Go, and one other song. And I sent them in, and he liked 4 of them, and like sent Tell Me Smooth to Sony, and they had this big conversation. And from there, Tell Me Smooth was the focus song. It's what everyone was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, let's develop the album with Tell Me Smooth as the bullseye, and then see how poppy and how ballady it goes on either end of that bullseye, but I want to keep it on the target. So I kept developing the album, and I'm really proud of the album. I think that it's exactly the album that I wanted to make. I think that it was a good mix of like UK pop and US pop, but I didn't really hear anyone in Canada that was like throwing big harmonies on a, you know, pop track, especially that went to radio. And that song went to top 20 in Canada for like 17 weeks, I think. And it really got the ball rolling for me. And I'm thrilled with that album. It's crazy that it's been 2 years of it being out already. It feels like it was just kind of yesterday, but
where do you want to go for the future album?
Yeah. So all the singles that I've put out for this new album have been a lot poppier than the first album. I'd always been kind of like pegged as people were always like, oh, you sound like Sam Smith. You're the Canadian Sam Smith. You're the Canadian Sam Smith. So I felt like I had to like kind of give them what they were asking for. And I felt like I was scared about if I did something too poppy that it would be deemed as too gay. And
really?
I didn't want to.
Why is that?
I'm always hyper conscious and just like, I think at that time, entering into the music industry, I was very concerned with the middle of any country, anything that's not coastal, having an issue with something if it's too bold. So there was a lot of like fear about that. And then no one had put that on me. That was fear that I brought with myself and with my music. And I didn't want anything to come across as too one way or the other. I didn't want to rub people the wrong way. And as I move forward with beyond that first album, I kind of just I don't even know what the turning point was, but I decided that I love bubblegum pop music. And I was in a stage where I was listening to it all the time. And I'd always kind of said that I wasn't allowed to do that, either because it was too gay or because, you know, I can sing, so I need to show that I can sing.
Right.
And sometimes,
well, you've proven that you can sing at this point, I have to say. So you can relax. You can rest. You can rest a little bit.
Thank you. But I was like, I can sing, so I have to show that off.
Right.
But there was a turning point where I said, why can't I make bubblegum pop music? I'm like, at least I can try. If I don't like this demo, I don't have to release it. But the first one that I tried was The Coast.
Just give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we gave it a go. The label loved it. And then I felt, I'm so lucky to have a team that kind of supports me in whatever I make. I had to overcome my own issues with, allowing myself to make whatever music I wanted to make.
Right. That's a process.
But I've always felt championed and supported by my team, which I'm really grateful for. And I started with The Coast, and then I kind of just I took the lid off, and everything kind of I opened Pandora's box, and it all came rushing out. So I think a lot of the singles that I've done for this album are a lot poppier than I've done before. And it's been a really thrilling process for me because I feel like I'm making the pop music that I want to listen to. If this song came on in a playlist, I'm like, oh, this is what I would stop for. So I really feel like this album is the album that I would want to listen to from start to finish. There's a few very vulnerable moments on it.
Right.
But this album was really allowing myself to do that.
That's awesome. Is Flashback going to be on there?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is. Yeah.
I was listening to that song. I really like that song. What is the where did that song come from? What's the?
Yeah, I when I was 17, before I moved to London, England, I graduated high school and I was going to London in September, 2 months after I graduated, to live there and go to music school there and kind of try to make it happen.
Okay, wait. I'm sorry. I want to pause you. I want to play. Can we play it? And then I want to hear you talk about it.
Yeah.
So this is Flashback by Mathew V. It's going to be on his new album. It came out in 2019. Here we go.
I pray I remember the day. Remember they said it's all my fault. I hide, I sit alone and cry whenever I'm needing anyone. And I'd never play you for a fool. But now it's hard to open up to you. I'm sorry I can't give you that, because I still feel it all through my body. And don't you know that it's killing me? And I'm so sorry, but it just reminds me. And it all just takes me back. Baby, it all just takes me back. I'm weak. Is that what you make of me? When I had to get up on my own. 17, when he put his hands on me, and I had to find my way back home. But I'd never play you for a fool. But now I'm here with nothing left to lose. I'm sorry I can't give you that, 'cause I still feel it all through my body. And don't you know that it's killing me?
There it is.
Beautiful. I really like that song. One of the things that I'm looking for, I always love to see in artists is when I can feel their soul through their song. Yeah. Like, no matter how successful or talented or good the song is or whatever, like there are certain songs where you can like feel the artist's soul. Like I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston is like an example of when she sings that and she performs that, I can feel her soul in that song.
Yeah.
And I can feel a little bit of that in this song. So I really like it. So thank you. You're welcome. I'm excited for more people to hear it. So they need to. Okay, so where did this song come from? You moved to London when you were 17.
Yeah, so I just graduated high school. I was about to go to London. I had worked really hard. I got into music school when I was 15. I did all the work, and this was my holy grail of I'm going to go, I'm going to make my career happen. I was so motivated about it. And right after I graduated high school, there's a certain dating app in the gay community that I had been made aware to me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so thrilled. I had just lost 100 pounds. I went from literally thinking that no one was ever going to love me, or, kiss me or anything, to now me feeling like I was in this new body and I was finally allowed to, I'm like, oh, like people might, be interested in me. Oh my God, this is so cool. There's a dating app for gay people. And I'm so excited that, because I didn't get to date in high school. There were no other gay kids around.
Right.
So I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. And I went on not really knowing what it was, and went on a date. I went on a walk, and just didn't end up being the best situation for me without getting into any details that we don't need to get into. I'm really lucky to be in Canada to the point where, regardless of what happened, I was able to, go to the hospital discreetly and get things taken care of that had to be taken care of, and treatment was provided for me by our government, which was awesome. But it was something that had happened, and I knew that if I told anyone about it, that I wasn't going to be allowed to go to London to go to music school, which was my dream. And I was like, I'm not going to let this stop for whatever procedures were going to happen if I came clean about what had happened.
Right.
I didn't want to go through it. I wanted to forget that it had happened. I wanted to get my treatment done, and I wanted to go to school. So I didn't tell anyone about it. And then I thought that it was done and over with.
Right.
And I had moved on with my life and all that stuff. And I think as I got older and after I moved back, this is probably 3 years after the incident had happened, I had kind of started to notice patterns of how I had learned to cope with things and things that I'd kind of carried with me from that. And so I talked to one of my best friends, Luca Fogali, who's an amazing artist in his own respect. I'd recommend everyone go listen to him. But he's one of my best friends as well. I've worked with him on music since Sounds and onward. And I sat him down in his basement, and I was like, I want to write a song. Here's the chords. I don't really know how to talk about it, but I want to get your opinion on this.
Right.
And then I started singing it, and then verse 2 happened. And there's a line in verse 2 where I say 17 when he put his hands on me, and then he stopped, and he was like so caught off guard by it. Because I really had to process if I wanted to be so blunt about it. Because I didn't want to trigger anyone, and I didn't want to be too forward. And my biggest fear throughout the whole process was that anyone would think that I wanted attention for it.
Right.
It's so easy to see on Twitter or on social media, anything, whenever people come forward with anything, it's very easy to attack or victim shame or to say that things didn't happen. And the last thing that I wanted was for that to happen. And so we had to have serious conversations about, do we even want to write this song?
Right.
Is it too shocking and garish? Because I don't want it to be like this shock piece. And he's one of the best humans I know, was unbelievably supportive in whatever I wanted to whatever my comfort level was, to kind of let me tell my story. So I made the demo. It was it kind of opened Pandora's box for me, to use that reference again, in personal aspects. And I sent it to the label with a group of like 8 songs, and my manager picked Flashback and I think The Coast as the 2 standouts. And I was like, okay, I guess we're moving forward on this. And kudos to, you know, my label as well for being able to champion a personal story like this as well. I don't think that it's a song that necessarily is going to top the charts in any sense of the word, but it was something for me that spawned a really powerful kind of transformation in myself, just to like deal with the fact that I had to address some of these issues. And releasing the song, when I realized that the song was actually going to come out,
right,
I had like this really serious fear, because not only like, it's one thing to say things to complete strangers, but I'm like, my family's going to hear this.
Yeah.
My extended family's going to hear this.
Right.
And it's going to cause a lot of questions internally as to what happened and why it happened and how things were dealt with.
Did that happen?
It did. I got calls from extended family members that were like, that wanted details on what had happened.
Right.
And I mean, looking out for me and wanting to make sure that I was okay and
coming
all this
from
stuff.
a loving place.
Yeah, coming from a loving place. But
it's still hard. It's still hard for you.
Yeah. The most beneficial thing for me was at that point, I knew that song was going to be released, I started going to therapy. And although it kind of sent me into a spiral at first when I actually unboxed all of these things, it was a really powerful moment for me to kind of look at from the outside how growing up in the gay community, growing up with, you know, dating apps that aren't really dating apps.
Right.
And then
sex apps.
Yeah, sex apps. Things that have, growing up with that from 17 years old, the kind of the patterns that programmed into me on where I saw my worth and how I interacted with other gay people in the community. And it was a really amazing aha moment for me to realize how I wanted to conduct myself moving forward.
Right.
And if some of those things that I learned were kind of coping mechanisms that weren't benefiting me or my future relationships.
I wish we could have more conversations about how, like, in gay culture, there's a difference between like sexual intimacy and like genuine connection. And I feel like those kind of get confused a lot in the gay community. And they're very different. And a lot of people, like, I feel like they don't know how to do the genuine connection thing, or they confuse them. And it's like, no.
Well, I remember the first moment that I opened the app. I'll just call it the app. And I mean, I was young and I thought it was a dating app. And I remember in the first 10 minutes being berated with all of the content that you get berated with on that.
Right.
And I remember the aha moment of, oh, this is how we do things.
Right.
And, oh, this is what dating is for us.
Right.
And I was like, okay, better follow suit. And I remember someone asked me, want to cuddle? And I remember thinking genuinely that they wanted to cuddle.
Me too. I was the same way.
And I had butterflies in my stomach and I was like, oh my God, my movie moment is finally happening.
Right.
And then over time, and over constant exposure to it, I realized I'm like, oh, that's not what people mean. And I just need to buckle up and get in the game here because it's moving all around me and I'm falling behind.
Right.
So there's
this whole double speak thing that happens. And you can nobody tells you, there's no rule book, right?
Yeah.
You just gotta learn it.
Like, how old are you if you don't mind me asking?
27.
Yeah. Like we're a part of the first generation, or I'll speak for myself, but I was raised with it. There was no dating prior to it, and I don't know anything different. And I really feel for the next generation coming up in this community, because I had to learn my worth and my value wasn't through my body at 22. You know, I didn't understand that. And it was made very clear to me that, oh, this is the way to do things. And I wish that like we're kind of just left to police ourselves. But I think that there's a lot of internal struggle. At least I'll speak for myself personally. There was a lot of internal struggle with realizing if my body was the most important thing that I had to offer people, or the only thing that I had to offer people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, as millennials, we're the last generation with one foot outside the internet and one foot in the internet.
Absolutely.
And so our parents didn't have rule books. Like, this is the first, like, one of the first times in history. Like, normally you have the older generation telling, like, the generation, like, hey, these are all the things, right?
Yeah.
But we were the first one where it was like, nobody knows what's going on. Literally no one. So we're figuring this shit out on our own, and we're going to make some mistakes. It's going to be weird. There's going to be some crazy stuff that happens, but we're going to figure it out. So I feel really good for, like, Gen Z, I think it is Gen Z.
Yeah.
The coming up, because I can already see that it's less of a like nobody cares if you're gay. It's like just like less people even like ask, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's so much easier for kids that are growing up in middle school and high school just to like explore and be cool with it. Like, hey, like I'm a dude. I like dick. Okay, that's cool. Like whatever. Like, you know, like.
Oh, that's what being gay is. I've been doing it all wrong this whole time. Yeah.
But it's just like they're free to explore in a way that, like, in a healthy way, you know, that a lot of previous generations didn't get to. So I think that's really encouraging. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But I mean, one of the things that I really love about artists is like, you guys have so much courage because you're constantly making yourself vulnerable. Like you're putting these like vulnerable parts of you like out there in the world for people to just like listen to and like empathize with. And I think that's just like so courageous and amazing because like just like the Macklemore song, right? Like that took courage to make, right?
Absolutely.
But it was like just such a transformational thing for the people that it resonated with.
Yeah.
And so like that's, I feel like the reward you get when you show that vulnerability is you know, really help other people to get through whatever they're going through. So
well, thank you very much for saying that. It's that song was the first song that sent me into like a bit of a mental breakdown, but I think it was really a moment where I had to break down everything to build it back up. And you know, I'd rather deal with those demons and those patterns and everything now rather than later. And I feel like I've, you know, kind of cleaned out some of the dust from under the bed, and therapy is a journey that I still continue with, and you know, it's been super beneficial to me, and I'm grateful that the song happened and it's been put out into the world. And, you know, hopefully it helps someone else, but really it was kind of selfishly a song that I needed to help myself.
Good. Well, I'm glad you did it. I'm really glad you did it.
Thank you very much.
So you're welcome. So your new single is coming out on the 22nd of May this month, right?
22nd of May. I'm really excited about it. We're kind of releasing it in conjunction with Pride Month. I think that June is kind of the Pride Month that spans
Are we
kind of
going
the
to
whole
have
world.
a Pride this year?
I mean, it's not going to be a physical Pride. I know that most of the Prides that we've talked about have been canceled, but I mean,
I hope we'll get like one Pride like later on, like July or
I don't know. You best believe that the gays are still going to claim our month. Let's be honest about it.
We're going to claim our month for sure. You ain't taking that away.
Yeah, I'm still going to yell from the window, "Move, I'm gay." Or you know, in the grocery store, regardless. But
there's this guy on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood, which if you don't know, it's like the main street where all the bars are in West Hollywood. And he, during the quarantine, he has a speaker that he puts on his windowsill and he plays it and he just like waves at all of the boys as they pass by. Like it's so weird. He's just like, it's weird. But hey, I mean, he's doing his thing. So.
Yeah, it's a party in the street as long as you're 6 feet away from each other. But it's yeah, so we're kind of releasing it for Pride Month, and I'm really stoked on the artwork. I love putting the artwork together almost as much as I love putting the music together, because the nostalgia for me about music was getting a CD, looking at the front and the back, opening it, taking the booklet out, going through the booklet, and just seeing how everything tied together, how the CD matched the front, and like the casing under the disc matched it, and going through the booklet was my favorite part.
Kind of similar with vinyl too. It's kind of a similar feeling.
You know, it's like you get to actually hold the product and see how the font matches and the color scheme and like how the music looks like. I think that it's so special and so cool. So I'm really stoked on the artwork. It was, you know, one of the bolder shoots that me and my buddy Reese had done, and I'm just really excited about it. I played the song on tour over Christmas.
Yeah.
I went on tour in November across Canada, and it was by far, like, everyone came up to me and they're like, "Oh, what's that? Like, what's that song where you were all chanting and everyone was clapping?" It was like, everyone was clapping along. It was like, that song, that's the song. You got to release that song. And we were going to release it before Missing Me, but then the radio campaign, they were like, "No, we need it right now." So got pushed out, but I think it's happening for the best, because I'm glad it's happening around Pride Month. We need some bops to kind of lift these gays up, since our pride was taken from us.
We do. Do we have a name? Do we have a name yet that we want to talk about, or not yet?
It's called "Don't Let Me Go."
Okay.
Which is funny because one of my most successful songs off my first album was "Let Me Go," but you know, it's just you know, people change their minds. Okay, sometimes we want to let me go, and sometimes we don't want to let me go.
But
so
we tend to think of people as these like cinder blocks that never change.
Yeah,
like if you said something like months ago or years ago, or felt a way months ago that you'll never change. It's like, no, like dude, like I change, like I grow, like I change my mind on things. So it's whatever.
Oh, and I think for artists, like I want to make the music that I want to listen to, and in different years I want to listen to different music. Right. This album is going to sound different to sounds, and people have come to me and said like, oh, you know, since Tell Me Smooth, you've kind of strayed away from the UK pop, and I liked it better.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not never going to go back to that.
Right.
For you know, whatever I plan to do beyond this album, I'm already planning on changing it up and maybe reeling it in from as poppy as I've went. Because I'm like, I've done that now.
Right.
I've allowed that album to live in its space, and I'm gonna continue to reinvent or go back and readdress certain things. But my favorite albums are like Katy Perry albums, because
Teenage Dream was a defining album for like millennial generation. I
think that Teenage Dream was probably the best pop album of all time. If I had to like group all of the songs together, that album had so many hits on it.
Yeah.
But if I think about, you know, a Katy Perry album, for example, Prism, I would imagine that like By the Grace of God and Legendary Lovers are pop songs that are on two completely different records. If Birdie released By the Grace of God in the exact same production, it would be such an indie, you know, stripped down pop track. But it's all branded together and tied together in a little bow through Katy Perry's branding, and you associate that song way more poppy than it actually is because it's Katy Perry.
Right.
So I think that like pop is a very wide umbrella, and I like to stray within all aspects of how wide that umbrella is.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the branding actually comes into play, is you can convince the audience that something is more indie or more poppy depending on how you paint it.
Very true.
So I think that there's a lot of power in that. But if people want me to go back to one thing or the other, I can guarantee it's probably going to land there at some point in the future.
It's cool. Like, go explore. Please explore, because I think that's where cool, new, crazy things come from.
Yeah, I don't think that I'm Adele, and I don't think that I can release the same album 9 times over.
Right.
Nor do I want to. Right. So I think that it's fun to keep exploring.
Right. Are you listening to, okay, so one song I really actually like right now, it just came out by Fly By Midnight, LA Lonely.
Yes. So
that's a song that talks about things that everybody is feeling, but nobody really can talk about. And that's why I love that song. Like
they are so good. And my journey with Fly By Midnight is quite funny. I remember when I was doing label shopping, probably back in 2014, I remember coming across a Fly By Midnight music video, because they've been at this for a while and doing it quite well for a while.
Right.
I was like, I wonder who they work with. Let me reach out. And I remember never hearing back, but I was following them ever since.
Right.
And kind of seeing what they were doing. And then I reached out to Justin and Fly By Midnight probably about a year and a half ago, saying, hey, I really love your stuff. If you guys ever want to work together, just let me know. And he got back and he said, hey man, like your music's great. Hopefully we can, you know, come together on something and work on a track. And so for about a year, we were texting back and forth, and being like, oh, what city are you going to be in at this time? What city are you going to be in at this time? Because I was going to try to catch them either in New York or LA.
Right.
And then finally in October, this last October, I was there on a writing trip to write Missing Me. And I was doing a bunch of other sessions while I was there. And they were flying into LA for a show. And I remember texting Justin being like, hey, is there going to be one day that we can kind of cross over? And I think there was like 6 hours that we were both going to be in LA at the same time. And so I booked us a studio in North Hollywood for 4 hours, and we got this track done. It'll be the last single off of this album. It's my favorite song off the album.
Oh, I'm so excited for that.
But it was really cool to have artists that I've just been a fan of for years now, and to really be able to, first of all, get into the studio, and exactly what I imagined the song between them and I would be is exactly what we got. And got every time they release something, I'm just like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. And like I save it instantly. So I am so thrilled that I got to make something with them, being such a genuine fan of what they do. I'm really excited for people to hear it. It's the first time I've ever worked with international producers on music for myself.
Right.
So I'm really excited about the song. It's my favorite on the album.
Me too. Because like their newest single, I love, and so like seeing you two together, I can't wait to see what you guys have come up with. It's gonna be awesome. I'm
really stoked for people to hear it.
Cool. All right. Do you know when the album's gonna come out, or is still kind of up in the air? The single's on the 22nd, but
so we're not making any announcements yet. It will be in the summer unless something wild happens. I remember when we had a date locked, and then the coronavirus kind of came and squashed everyone's plans. Right. I think we're back on track. It really depends on the state of the world. I know that it won't be before the summer months happen because we're getting vinyl printed right now, and I think that there's a bit of like 8 to 10 weeks that I think we need that to come through.
You gonna do that colored vinyl? I love when the vinyl is like colored, like some weird cool color.
There's been a lot of thought into the graphics of this album. Like the
you don't
CD
have to spoil
booklet,
anything. You don't have to spoil.
The vinyl pullets. I'm really stoked on the art too. We had it's the first time I didn't do the graphic design on the art because I typically do it myself, but I'll do a full story on the artwork when we announce the album. But someone reached out to me on Instagram, a really young, talented creator, and said, "I really want to do your album artwork." And then we went back and forth, and they did something really, really special.
That's
for
so
it.
cool.
So I'm really stoked on it.
That's so cool. I'm excited. Okay, before I let you go, I really need you to explain the rat thing. Like, where did that come from?
So I'm kind of a stupid idiot, and I fell in. So there was a tweet that went viral that said "rat" is short for Rathew, and someone tagged me in it, and I retweeted it. And then my supporters just kind of ran with it. And I freaking loved it because, again, I'm a stupid idiot. So like, I'm like, rat memes? Absolutely. So then I started making rat memes, and then people started sending me rat memes. And then now I've started baking in quarantine. So it's like a whole Ratatouille thing.
Didn't you make macaroons or something?
I did. I made them yesterday. They were so hard, but they actually turned out really well. So I'm thrilled. But yeah, so now I'm Mathew V, but some of the stands will associate me with Mathew V, which I find I was born the year of the rat. It's like it all just comes together and ties into a nice little bow. But
you also kind of look a little bit like Linguini from Ratatouille, just like a tiny bit. Like if you put on a chef's hat, I could definitely see it. Like
I fully appreciate that because what I get all the time is that I look like Neville Longbottom from Harry Potter, but like while he was in Harry Potter, not like the hot Neville Longbottom after, like in the movie Neville Longbottom. So I'll take it. Neville Longbottom in that movie, I'm sure, pulled quite the paycheck. So cool. I'll take it.
Okay, so first, where can people find you on Instagram?
Yeah, well, on the dark web probably is the best place to go. But
it's the best place, the dark web.
Yeah, Mathew V Music. Mathew has 1 T, V Music, and that's kind of across all socials.
Okay, cool. All right, it was super fun talking with you. Honestly, I had a great time.
I had such a good time. This is like. I feel like you've started a podcast monster now. I'm just going to be on the corner of the street being like, do you have a podcast? Do you have a podcast?
Yeah, do it.
But
it's a great platform. It's great.
This was super special. So thank you so much for thinking of me, for having me, and for being so supportive of my music.
Yeah.
You have taste, as the kids call it nowadays. So I'm really flattered that you're digging my music. And thanks to Dom for introducing us as well.
Dom's a really great guy.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on. I love your music, and I can't wait to see what's coming out. I'm going to sign us off with your cover of Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Oh my God.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
I supposed to know who that something wasn't right here? Oh baby, baby, I shouldn't have let you go. And now we're out of sight, yeah. Show me how you want it to be. Tell me, baby. with you I lose my mind. Give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more time. Oh.
God, I haven't heard that in years.